Have you ever been so in love it feels like you're kind of losing your mind? Like a total obsession? Well, what if I told you that feeling isn't just poetry? It's a powerful biological program, and it's hardwired deep inside your brain. Today, we're going to decode what is really going on when we fall head over heels. So, we're going to start with a pretty provocative question. Is romantic love, at its core, a natural addiction? Now, I know that might sound a little cynical. You got to stick with me here because the science behind it is absolutely mind-blowing. And you can see right here why scientists even make that comparison in the first place. I mean, look at this list. These are the classic textbook hallmarks of addiction. You've got that intense craving for the person, needing more and more of their time. That's tolerance. Then there's dependence, withdrawal when they're not around, and yeah, even relapse. This stuff isn't just, a feeling. These are documented behaviors shared by lovers and addicts alike. So how in the world does this even happen? Well, it all comes down to a very specific cocktail of chemicals that starts firing off in your brain. So let's get into it. Let's break down the neurochemistry that creates that intoxicating, all-consuming feeling of being in love. Okay, just look at how direct this comparison is. It's wild. Both romantic love and, say, a drug like cocaine, they target the exact same neural pathways. We're talking about the brain's fundamental reward system. They both hijack the same machinery to create this intense motivation and craving. Seriously, this isn't a metaphor, it's neurology. First up in our chemical cocktail is dopamine. Now, we often call it the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite right. It's really the wanting chemical. It's what drives our motivation. That feeling of, I have to see them, I need to talk to them. That's a dopamine-driven state. It's called incentive salience, and it basically turns your partner into a motivational magnet. But, wanting isn't the whole story, is it? The actual feeling of pleasure, that warm, blissful feeling you get with your partner, that's driven by something else. Your body's own natural painkillers, endogenous opioids. This is the liking part of the equation. It's the pure joy you feel, the reward you get after all that dopamine-fueled wanting. And to round out our cocktail, we've got oxytocin. So if dopamine is the engine, and opioids are the reward, then oxytocin is the glue. It's often called the cuddle hormone because it's released during physical touch, and it's what transforms that initial fiery passion into a stable, long-term bond that's built on trust and attachment. It's what makes you feel safe and secure with someone. Okay, so now we know the how. We know the brain chemicals involved. But what about the why? Why would evolution even create such a powerful, and let's be honest, kind of destabilizing system? Well, let's dive into our next section and see how this all connects back to our survival as a species. And believe it or not, this drive to pair up is incredibly ancient. I mean, look at this timeline. The potential need for it started way back, over 4 million years ago when our ancestors started walking upright. Then, fast forward to about 2 million years ago, our brains got bigger, which meant our babies were born way more helpless, making a supportive partner much more valuable for survival. And then, by about 500,000 years ago, we see evidence that suggests monogamous bonding was becoming a lot more common. It was a clear evolutionary advantage. So here's a really mind-bending idea from modern research. You see, evolution is efficient. It's kind of lazy, in the best possible way. It doesn't like to invent new things from scratch. So to create the powerful software for romantic love, it looks like it just repurposed an even older program, the unbreakable bond between a mother and her baby. And the evidence for this is just uncanny. I mean, think about it. The obsessive thoughts, those powerful protective urges, even using baby talk with a partner. Come on, we've all heard it. And brain scans actually confirm this. They show a precise overlap in key reward and attachment regions of the brain for both maternal and romantic love. It's the same core system, just aimed at a different target. So we have this ancient, powerful biological drive. But how does that translate into the messy, exhilarating, and sometimes really painful experience of actually falling in love? Let's try to connect that deep biology to our real-world psychology. So one of the biggest signs of early love is obsessive thinking, right? Well, one study found that, on average, people who have just fallen in love spend 65% of their waking hours thinking about their partner. 65%! That's not just a crush, that is a near total cognitive takeover. And this obsession often leads to something the writer Stendhal called crystallization. You probably know it as the love is blind effect. It's when you focus so intensely on all their good qualities that you literally just don't register the negatives. And while it might sound like a delusion, get this. Research shows these positive illusions are actually linked to greater relationship satisfaction. And here's where it gets really weird. It turns out that anything that gets in your way can actually make love stronger. They call this the Romeo and Juliet effect. So, why does this happen? Well, when a reward is uncertain or delayed, those dopamine neurons in your brain don't give up. They fire even more intensely, cranking up that wanting feeling to an almost unbearable level. Obstacles literally become fuel for the fire. It's just amazing how our brains are wired to desire what we can't easily have. So, if obstacles can fuel love, then rejection, well, rejection can feel like a fatal blow. And brain scans of people who've been recently dumped show a total storm of activity. Their reward system is in complete overdrive, creating this intense craving. What's really profound is that the brain also lights up regions associated with physical pain. Heartbreak isn't just a metaphor. Your brain treats it like a real physical injury. All right, we've looked at the chemistry, we've looked at the evolution, and we've looked at the psychology. So, after all of this, what is romantic love, really? Let's try to pull this all together into one final unified definition. So, here it is. Love isn't just some fleeting emotion. It is a fundamental human drive, every bit as basic and powerful as hunger or thirst. It's a survival mechanism that evolved to solve a crucial problem: how to focus our energy on one person long enough to form a bond and ensure the survival of the next generation. So maybe it's less of a destructive addiction and more of a pro-social adaptation. And all of this leaves us with one last fascinating question to think about. If this powerful drive is so deeply coded into our biology, if it's the product of millions of years of evolution, how much conscious control do we really have over who we love, why we love, and how we love? Something to ponder.